What's up, everybody? Welcome to week one of the On the Ball Sports Weekend Review. So basically, these episodes are going to be probably around 10 minutes, just recapping real quick every big headline from the last week in sports. So to start off, in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes this week signed the biggest contract in sports history, 10 years, over $500 million extension with the Chiefs. He is going to be on the Chiefs until I'm 30 years old, which is just crazy to think about. Comment down below if you think this contract will result in more Super Bowls for the Chiefs, or if you think he's just going to get hurt and it's going to be a complete waste because they won't be able to get any assets really if this doesn't end up working out. Another quarterback signing was Cam Newton. This was way lower of a risk. Cam Newton, the former MVP, going to the Patriots. Kind of wild to think that he was a free agent for this long, and it's a major Patriots move to get an MVP after losing their MVP, Tom Brady, right after one another. So the Patriots are going to be relevant again. Still in the NFL here, but not really sports related. Eagles receiver DeSean Jackson had some posts this week basically quoting Hitler, who was saying that the Jewish people were going to take over America, and that basically he was just being extremely anti-Semitic. It's kind of crazy to think that in 2020, with everything going on right now and a lot of social awareness, that people could still be this unaware. I think the biggest headline is the lack of headline that's come from this. I think that if things went the other way around and a white player said something racist, there would be a lot more backlash, but for some reason in this case, anti-Semitism just isn't being taken as seriously. With that being said, Zach Benner, player on the Steelers, had this video to say, so I'm going to play that now.
It's a beautiful morning this morning, but I haven't been able to, I'm just going to be honest, I haven't been able to sleep in the last couple hours because I woke up this morning to the news about the DeSean Jackson and his incident with the Jewish community, and I saw his apology video, and it seems like his heart's in the right place. So understand that this video isn't even towards him, it's towards that idea and mindset that sparked it in the first place. There's a common misbelief amongst black and brown people, and I know this from growing up, and I've heard it and I've listened to it, that Jewish people are just like any other white race, like it's just you mix them up with the rest of the majority, and you don't understand that they're a minority as well. I didn't know this until I went to USC, and I had friends who are now family members, believe it or not, who are part of the Jewish community, current students and alumni. And also I was here on the team, my first year with the team, a couple of years ago during it's just tough, man, during that synagogue shooting in this beautiful city of Pittsburgh. And we need to understand that Jewish people deal with the same amount of hate and similar hardships and hard times. I'm not trying to get emotional right now, but I want to preach to the black and brown community that we need to uplift them and put our arms around them just as much. When we talk about the Black Lives Matter and we talk about elevating ourselves, we can't do that while stepping on the back of other people to elevate ourselves. And that's very, very important to me, and that it should be important to everyone. We can't preach equality, but in result, we're just trying to flip the script and change the hierarchy, if that makes sense. Change your heart, put your arm around people, and let's all uplift each other.
And Julian Edelman, the receiver on the Patriots, also had a response to DeSean Jackson, so I'm going to play that here too.
I've been getting hit up by everyone asking me about this DeSean Jackson post, and I wanted to take some time before I responded because it's a complicated issue, and I wanted to be thoughtful. I wrote down some of my thinking. I've seen DeSean play in his career make outstanding football plays. We've communicated over social media. I've got nothing but respect for his game. I know he said some ugly things, but I do see an opportunity to have a conversation. I'm proud of my Jewish heritage. And for me, it's not just about religion. It's about community and culture as well. I'm unusual because I didn't identify as Jewish until later in my life. Whenever I encountered hatred, it never really felt like it was aimed at me. It was only after I was part of this community that I learned how destructive hate is. Anti-Semitism is one of the oldest forms of hatred. It's rooted in ignorance and fear. I remember experiencing a little bit of this hate in 2011 when I was called a kike on the football field. There's no room for anti-Semitism in this world. Even though we're talking about anti-Semitism, I don't want to distract from how important the Black Lives Matter movement is and how we need to stay behind it. I think the Black and Jewish communities have a lot of similarities. One unfortunate similarity is that they are both attacked by the ignorant and the hateful. It's really hard to see the challenges a community can face when you're not part of it. So what we need to do is we need to listen, we need to learn, we need to act. We need to have those uncomfortable conversations if we're going to have real change. So to that end, DeSean, let's do a deal. How about we go to DC and I take you to the Holocaust Museum, and then you take me to the Museum of African American History and Culture. Afterwards, we grab some burgers and we have those uncomfortable conversations.
So basically, both of those responses kind of show that there is some hope with people being against anti-Semitism, but it's still pretty wild that there hasn't been more backlash for this. DeSean Jackson and people that agree with some of the stuff he's been saying, it's not that they need to be canceled, but they do need to learn kind of what they've been saying and why it's wrong. Going on to baseball, which will hopefully be coming back in about a week and a half, July 22nd, teams have started to report to their spring or summer training camps. Every team is practicing in their own stadiums, which is kind of weird. There's been some inter-squad battles going on between, teams and themselves. Some teams have actually shut down their facilities, though, due to testing taking too long to get the results back, which is kind of problematic because they have such a short amount of time to get ready for the season, yet the MLB and the testing is just taking too long to get the results back. Additionally, a lot of players have been testing positive. Before the teams went to training camp, about 34 of the 3,000 plus people around Major League Baseball had tested positive, and after a week, the stage 1 testing came back, and it was, I think, 66 players and team personnel have tested positive, so it's almost doubled in a week. Now, I think it still could plateau. It was kind of bound to go up as they ended up, as people were gathering and people were coming together from all parts of the country and probably the world. So I think it should still plateau, and I'm still very hopeful that there's going to be a baseball season. Some key people that have tested positive are Freddie Freeman of the Braves and Charlie Blackmon of the Rockies. There are a bunch of other players that have also tested positive, but those are two guys that those teams desperately need. And when they come back, hopefully they'll be the same and it won't take them forever to come back. Hopefully they won't test positive, a second time after a few weeks. So hopefully that will be good. Other players have actually opted out of the season. The biggest name is Los Angeles Dodgers starting pitcher David Price, who basically for his own reasons just said it wasn't worth it to him to play this season. He thought it would be too dangerous, which I completely understand. If it's a 60-game season, it just might not be worth it to everybody to go out there and risk their health. Mike Trout, best player in baseball, has also apparently considered sitting out the entire season, which would be pretty shocking because the Angels, as a lot of you guys know, have not been very good throughout Trout's career, and this would really be his best shot to make it into the playoffs and show the entire Major League Baseball world that he is the best player in the sport. But he has a pregnant wife, and obviously that would come first. Going on to the NBA, which is scheduled to start around the same time as Major League Baseball, around the 3rd or 4th week of July. There have also been a lot of players testing positive. The numbers seem to be going up. The biggest names that have tested positive have been DeAndre Jordan of the Nets, Nikola Jokic of the Nuggets, and a bunch of other important role players around the league. Some other players have said that they were going to sit out, including Trevor Ariza and Avery Bradley of the Lakers. So because of that, J.R. Smith signs with the Lakers. And just last night, Jamal Crawford, who has not played all season, has signed with the Brooklyn Nets. And it's reported that everybody's favorite player, Michael Beasley, could also be headed to the Nets. So kind of makes you think if they're just going to go after a bunch of those guys like Gerald Green, Iman Shumpert, Jeremy Lin, all these guys who have kind of been fan favorites but just haven't found a spot in the league this year, because the Nets have a ton of guys who have tested positive, including Spencer Dinwiddie, who tested positive twice and is now going to sit out. In a more positive light, though, every team has started to go towards the bubble in Orlando. So as players start to gather there, they're going to get tested. They're going to be quarantined for 48 hours, and then they're going to start training in the bubble. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to look, but hopefully everything goes smoothly. Joel Embiid showed up today in a full hazmat suit, so I don't know if he's super concerned or if he's making jokes or if it's a little bit of both. But all I know is that the internet content coming out of the bubble is going to be elite. One very minor headline kind of going into the bubble has been the haircuts of many NBA players, as they've completely changed from obviously a few months ago when all this quarantine started and the NBA shut down in March. Players like Jason Tatum grew out their hair. He looks like a completely different guy. On the Spurs, Lonnie Walker and DeJounte Murray, they had like these long flat top dreadlock type looks, just completely buzzed it off. They got the waves and the buzz cut. So, and then De'Aaron Fox did the same sort of thing. So it's going to be pretty funny because, highlights from the same year, the guys are going to be looking like completely different people. But, I look forward to that if that means that we get more highlights in the next few months. I know we all want to have sports back. I'm going to be making a video like this every week to recap sports. So once games start coming on, I'll recap, the standings in baseball and the playoff picture in the NBA. And as more football news comes out, as they get closer to hopefully starting a season semi on time, I'll talk about that as well. So like and subscribe for more.